It is February 16th, 2015, and my video was running a little bit long past what I was trying to talk about. So anyway, so we were at this one dive place, the club where Heinz was at, and we had been told by the door person that it was a quote-unquote private party. So then Mike was kind of upset, but we were then in the car, and he got on his cell phone and he was talking to Heinz, and I was told that that we might be going over to someone's house for an quote-unquote after party, where there would be some things. Nanette, get down. And Nanette. So then Heinz basically said no, something about no, we're not going over there or whatever right now, and I guess I had the impression that we were going to go over there maybe later, but we were either Mike was either instructed to go to this other club or from Heinz, or just decided to do it on his own, but I think he was kind of getting an instruction from Heinz. So we went to this other club, which is where I was given this date rape drug in a drink. So, I mean, I was given something after all this talk about how there was stuff at the art place, and then how there was maybe going to be some after party stuff at the Heinz's, or at the some apartment. I was then being taken to this bar where I was given some kind of a drug in a drink, but I never asked for it. I didn't consent to it or ask to be given that drug or those drugs. And I think it was a combination of maybe 2 different kinds of drugs because of how it made me feel. And I know for sure that there's no way that one margarita and then just a couple of sips of this other drug would have made me feel the way, or act the way that I felt and was then acting. So so then everything else that I said that happened after that, all of that then happened. And when he dropped me off, and then when he dropped me off at my house, or whatever, I had to work that day, and it was a Sunday, so I had to work early in the morning, and anyway, so then after that, he didn't call me for like a couple of days, but then when he started calling, he was calling all the time again, and he kept saying that, once again he wanted to see me, and then he was really calling me a lot, and I actually thought maybe he was really interested at that point, because he sort of acted like it. But I also was feeling really bad about what had happened, and I didn't really want to talk to him, and I was kind of debating about what I should do, because maybe I was stuck with him, because I couldn't go through that kind of thing with someone again, and so I just kind of thought maybe I just have to settle, and this is how it is. And then at least I'm not going to get, at least it won't be yet one more government person, or, I didn't recognize who he was yet, so I didn't think about the fact he was government yet. But I because I didn't recognize all of that, some of it was, making me feel like, why were these things happening to me all the time, and is this how it is all the time? And I just felt like I don't want to get raped again, by yet another person. And how come this keeps happening every single time? So I didn't recognize the fact that every single one of those individuals was a government employee, and that I already knew their families, and their families were guilty of committing crimes against me when I was a kid. And now here were their sons, you know, like the next generation stepping up to harm me. So I wasn't processing all of that government stuff at the time, or recognizing who they were, and instead I was just thinking, I can't go through this again, and like, if this is how it is, maybe I'm just supposed to deal with this like this. So I was working really hard on all this legal stuff, and I just kind of applied myself to that. And then when I got some things out of the way, because I had deadlines for different things, I had to, you know, get certain things taken care of at a certain time and all that. You know, once I wasn't just putting them off to play hard to get at all. I was just really working hard. And once I got some things out of the way and done, I then, you know, talked to him for a little while. And he sort of wanted to talk on the phone quite a bit sometimes too, and wasn't like a really big phone conversation person. I just kind of sometimes I like to do that, but I often like to be face to face with people because I could see their expressions, and I just preferred it to talking on the phone. And so so he said that asked me, you know, when I was going to go out with him again. And then one time when he called me up, he said, "What are you doing?" And we were talking a little bit, and he said he was watching the news, and then asked me if I wanted to go over there. And I was in the middle of working on legal stuff at the time, and I said, I made an exception and said, well, I'm working on some legal stuff, but I guess I could bring it over there, and I could just sit there and work on it and kind of watch the news with you or something like that. So I grabbed a bunch of my legal papers and had them in like kind of wasn't really an attaché, but sort of something like that, like a big purse that was like a briefcase in a way, but not really. And had a thick stack of my legal papers in that, and I was going to look at things and read through some things and work on that. And then I just thought, just sit next to him, and as we watch TV. And I was kind of bored at the time, and despite the things that had happened to me, I also, you know, was kind of isolated. Didn't have, like I say, the college I was going to was kind of like go to your classes and then you leave, and you didn't socialize with people. It wasn't like I was at a university. And I was working so much, and I was taking full-time classes. I had a really full schedule. So, you know, sometimes you just like to work on stuff with other people around you. And so I thought that I would go over and do that. And so I got my stuff together, and I just kind of thought, well, I guess, you know, I'll go over there and whatever. So I went over, and for the second time in a row, I had a splitting headache. I started getting this horrendous headache, and it was really, really bad. And he was watching news about, at the time, it was about Israel talking about putting up a wall between, I guess, Israel and Gaza. I don't know if that's correct or not, but it was like Israel and Gaza, or Israel and the Palestinian area or something. And I didn't really follow the news that much, and I wasn't very politically inclined. So, um, so he was upset about it. He didn't like it, and he had an opinion about it. And I said, and I didn't really care one way or the other, and I just didn't think there was that big of a deal. I thought, oh well, if they're putting up a wall, they're just defining their boundaries. And then he got upset because he was like, for whatever reason, he didn't like what was going on with that. And and then I just sort of thought, well, he has a very strong opinion about the politics in that area or over this matter. And I didn't know that much about it, so I didn't say anything else. And I just started going through my legal papers and everything. And then he got distracted. I'm not sure how or why, because I was just studying. I think that I actually was starting to get a splitting headache, and I asked if he had any Advil because my head was killing me. And it was a migraine, but these migraines were government triggered, and I recognize that now, but at the time I just thought I sometimes randomly got migraines. But I was having yet another government triggered migraine at his house, and I wanted to take a whole handful of Advil practically, but it would have taken a few at least to try to get rid of it. And I possibly said something like, maybe I need to go home because my head is really killing me. But I know that I did ask about Advil, and then he offered to he said, well, are you really tense in your shoulders or whatever? And I said, well, yeah, a little bit, because it would go on one side of my head, and then my neck would feel really stiff, and my shoulders sometimes would be really knotted up because I was so tense from the level of pain in my head. And so I thought, so I said, yeah, and so then he started like working on my shoulders, which was actually something that Robin Bechtold also did when he was trying to facilitate his rape of me the second time that he raped me. But I was like, go ahead and that sounds good. Maybe it will help a little bit. And then he wanted me to go into the room, and he said I can do it better if you're laying down, so then I have it's more comfortable for me or whatever. And so then I went over with him there. Was I drinking at his house before? I don't really remember having a drink at his house. If I did, I don't remember it. I don't remember that he gave me any I don't remember that he definitely didn't give me, well, I may have had a drink because he was possibly having a drink while watching the news, and I maybe did. I think that I possibly had a drink at my own house before I went over there. But I don't think I was like completely drunk. I think I had maybe like a drink or two, maybe. But I don't really remember everything. I do remember that I think I was offered something to drink there, but I don't distinctly remember that. I just remember going through my papers. So actually, I'm not sure. And then, well, I think possibly I was, though, because I was worried that maybe I was affected by some kind of alcohol, and that's why I was getting this headache. But again, I'm not positive about it. And so then we were in his bedroom, and he was getting this knot out on my neck, and then And then kind of then from there, one thing led to another, and I don't remember what he said or government triggers or things that he did or anything at that point. I just remember I think that I was under the influence of something.